In this module, you shall learn the meaning of the commonly used terminology in inferential statistics, such as population, sample, random sample, parameter, and statistic. The sample statistics are used to estimate the unknown population parameters. Accordingly, we will understand how to derive sampling distributions of the two most widely used statistics, namely the sample mean and sample total. We would also try to learn about what are the properties of these sampling distributions and how are they related to the population distribution. Depending upon the population distribution, we shall know how can the forms of these sampling distributions be ascertained. We shall also learn to compute probabilities of these sampling distributions using the Z distribution. So I hope you are ready to learn all these. To begin with, in the earlier module, you have studied somewhere, I am sure, the difference between the population and the sample. To recapitulate, population is nothing but the entire collection of objects that we wish to investigate. For example, it might consist of students of a university like Delhi University who are doing a particular course, say BA Honours Economics, in a particular year, in the year 2015-16, for example, or all female students who graduated from Delhi University during 2010 to 13. So when the requisite information is available for all objects in the population, it is known as census. However, on account of scarcity of resources in terms of time, money, effort, many times a study is not based on entire population. It is not practical or many times impossible. Therefore, the question arises how to draw that information about the population parameters. As an alternative, the investigation is based on a subset of population, which is defined as a sample. The branch of statistics that analyzes sample information to draw inferences about the population is described as inferential statistics. It is therefore essential to understand that the sample drawn must be a good representative of the population under study, because ultimately all our inferences about the population are based on this sample. So this now in turn requires that the sample drawn must be a random sample, which is perhaps one of the most important methods of sampling. As a population consists of the totality of the observation, each observation drawn from its random sample, say X, that can take values x1, x2, x3, etc. Now, it is assumed that each observation drawn from the population is an independent random variable that follows the underlying probability distribution of the population. Accordingly, if x1, x2, x3 up to xn, where n I am taking as small, are n sample observations drawn in a random fashion from the population, they constitute a random sample. As first thing is the random variable xi's are independent. Second, each xi has the common probability distribution. That is what we are assuming. In other words, we can say that each xi or xi's are independently and identically distributed, abbreviated as IID, random variables. So IID stands for independently and identically distributed random variables. Now these conditions are completely satisfied if the sampling is either or either with replacement or the population considered is infinite. However, if the population is finite, and the sample is without replacement. These conditions are approximately satisfied if the size of the sample is at most 5% of the population. As we draw different samples of size n from the same population distribution, the sample observations will vary from sample to sample, which means if from the same population I pick up one sample, I may have different observations. If I pick up second sample, it may have different observations. So before the sample observations are actually made available, the sample observations are viewed as random variables and therefore are denoted by our uppercase letters like x1, x2, x3 up to xn. So each x now at the moment is a capital X. But once the sample values are obtained, they are denoted by lowercase letters such as small x1, small x2, etc. And these being a value of x1, similarly x2 a value of capital X2, and small xn being a value of capital Xn. If we assume that the population being sampled is normal, then each small xi will have the same identical normal distribution as that of capital Xi. That is the property of normal distribution. Next, we will talk about parameter, statistic, and estimate. The population characteristic is called parameter. For example, the population mean, population standard deviation, and population variance. For a given population, it is a constant. Further, if we do not resort to census method to obtain information, the population parameters remain unknown constants. Now, to get required information on population characteristics and to estimate its unknown population parameters, we rely on sample information. The statistical inferences about population are based on the values that are functions of sample observations such as sample mean, median, and standard deviation. Any quantity that can be computed from the sample observation is called a statistic. That means a statistic is a function of sample values. It is also called an estimator. The function of sample values simply means the way the sample values are combined. For example, to obtain sample mean, which is defined as summation xi by n, where x is small, we sum all the observations and divide the sum by the sample size n. Or for sample geometric mean, which could be denoted as the nth under root of pi I, where I is 1 to n into xi. So in a way, it is the product of different xi terms, which are n in number, and we have the nth root. We compute therefore the nth root of the product of n sample values. The estimator or statistic connotes the procedure or the method used to combine the sample values. The numerical value obtained from combining the sample observations is termed as an estimate. It is important to understand here that a statistic is a random variable since its value is based on a set of random variables x1, x2 to xn that constitute a random sample. Therefore, it is also denoted by uppercase letters. But once a sample is obtained and its value is calculated, it is denoted by a lowercase letter. For example, the sample mean, being a function of the sample observations, is a statistic. Before a sample is drawn from the population, it is a random variable as there is uncertainty as to what value it will result in. Therefore, is denoted as x bar. However, after obtaining the sample data, the computed value of sample mean is denoted as x bar, where x we are writing as a small x. In the same way, S or S square is used to denote the sample standard deviation or variance statistic, and its calculated value is S or S square. To reiterate here, the notations in the lowercase letters such as x bar, s, s square are used to indicate the values of the random variables capital X bar, S, capital S, and capital S square respectively. When a single value is used as an estimate of the corresponding population parameter, it is called a point estimate. Whereas if an estimate consists of an interval of numbers, it is termed as an interval estimate. The general notation used for any population parameter is theta, and its corresponding estimator we use theta hat. The discrepancy between an estimate theta hat and the true population parameter theta is called the sampling distribution. For further discussion, we will focus on four important statistics, namely sample mean, sample total, sample proportion, and sample variance or standard deviation. For the corresponding population parameters, population mean, population total, population proportion, and population variance or standard deviation. The sample mean x bar is a sample statistic which is used as an estimator of population mean mu. If x1, x2, x3, xn constitute a random sample, then x bar is equal to summation xi by n, where summation ranges from 1 to n and is called the sample mean. And for the observed sample data, it is calculated as x bar is equal to summation over 1 to n of ni divided by summation by n. The sample statistic T0 is used as an estimator of population total. The sample total T0 is therefore equal to summation of xi, where I ranges from 1 to small n, and is called the sample total. And for the observed sample data, it is calculated as T0 is equal to summation xi, where I is from 1 to n. Similarly, the sample variance is defined as capital S square and is equal to the summation xi minus x bar square divided by n minus 1, and its value for the given sample is computed as small s square equal to summation of small xi minus small x bar square, and summation is from 1 to n divided by n minus 1. It is used as an estimator of the corresponding population parameter, which means population variance sigma square. Likewise, for population proportion P, the estimator and estimate are defined as estimator P hat is equal to x by n and estimate is equal to x by n. So estimator is a method, is a formula, whereas estimate is a specific value. In this module, we will concentrate on the sampling distribution of the sample mean and sample total. The other two estimators are discussed in a different module, separate module. As we draw different samples of size n from the same population distribution, the sample observations as well as the value of any function of these observations, for example, sample mean, trimmed mean, or sample variance, will vary from sample to sample. The phenomena of obtaining different estimated values for different samples is called sampling fluctuations. Now we must understand that a statistic, being a random variable, has a probability distribution. The probability distribution of a statistic is also referred to as its sampling distribution, since it describes how the values of a statistic change across all samples that are selected for the purpose of the study or for the purpose under study. The listing of estimates of a statistics obtained across all samples is called the sampling distribution of a statistic. The sampling distribution of any statistic depends on three factors. What are these three factors? First is the population distribution, the second is the size of the sample, and the third is the method of sampling, i.e. whether sampling is with replacement or without replacement, what we have to see. For further discussion, we will assume sampling is with replacement or the sample size is less than 5% of the population, that is small n upon capital N is equal to 0.05. Example 1. To explain the derivation of a sampling distribution of sample mean, we consider a simple example with a sample size n equal to 2, drawn with replacement from a population comprising only 3 values. What are these 3 values? x1 is equal to 6, x2 is equal to 8, and x3 is equal to 10. Since the size of population is capital N and is equal to 3, and the sample size is small n equal to 2, total number of possible samples drawn from it will be 9, which is capital N raised to the power small n is equal to 3 square, which is equal to 9. Additionally, as the probability of drawing any one value from the given population is not mentioned, we will assume that all are equally likely. And also, since sampling is with replacement, each draw is independent of the other. For that reason, the probability of drawing any sample of size 2 will be 1 by 3 into 1 by 3 equal to 1 by 9. Table below lists all possible sample values along with the mean of each of the 9 samples. Since the samples are independent of each other, the probability of getting each sample is same and is equal to 1 by 9. So we have this table 1 where we have the sample values, sample means and probabilities. In the first column we have the sample number from 1 to 9. In the second column we have the sample values x1 and x2, which are different. For example, for the first sample it is 6 and 6. Then we have 6 and 8, 6 and 10, 8 and 6, 8 and 8, 8 and 10 for the sixth value, 10 and 6 for the seventh, 10 and 8, and last value for the ninth observation is 10 by 10. Let us now look at the sample mean in the third column, which is x bar. So we get the first value as 6, which is the mean of 6 plus 6. Then we get 7, which is the mean of 6 and 8. Then the mean of 6 and 10 is 8 in the third row, and so on. So for each sample we have these means. Then we have 7, 8, 9, 8, 9. And for the ninth sample, the average of 10 and 10 is 10. In order to obtain the sampling distribution of the sample mean, we consider each value of x bar and compute its probability. For example, x bar equal to 8 occurs 3 times, each with 1 by 9 probability. Therefore, probability of x bar equal to 8 is equal to the probability pi into x bar, or probability of x bar into 8. Now this is equal to 0.11 plus 0.11 plus 0.11 is equal to 0.33. Similarly, probabilities can be calculated for other values of x bar. The sampling distribution of sample mean lists all possible values that the sample mean can take, along with their respective probabilities, which appears in table 2 below. Table 2 consists of sampling distribution of the sample mean. In the first column, we have the sample mean x bar, which are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the second column, we have the probability of this x bar, which have been denoted as px bar. Now, this px bar comes out to be 1 by 9 is equal to 0.11 for sample mean 6. For sample mean, when x bar is equal to 7, we get 1 by 9 plus 1 by 9 equal to 2 by 9 and is equal to 0.22. Similarly, for sample mean x bar equal to 8, we get it equal to 1 by 9 plus 1 by 9 plus 1 by 9 and is equal to 3 by 9, which is same as equal to 0.33. For sample mean x bar equal to 9, we get 1 by 9 plus 1 by 9 is equal to 2 by 9, which is equal to 0.22. And the last value in this first column is the 10th value, which is sample mean x bar is equal to 10. Then our corresponding probability in the next column is 1 by 9 and is equal to 0.11. So let me repeat the probabilities corresponding to each mean. They have come out to be 0.11, 0.22, 0.33, 0.22 and 0.11. Relationship between population and x bar distribution. To understand the properties of the sampling distribution of sample mean and its relation to the corresponding values of the population distribution, we compute the mean and variance of both the population and x bar distributions. Now, mean of x is equal to mu or mu x and is equal to 6 plus 8 plus 10 divided by 3. Now, this comes out to be same thing as 8. The variance of x, which is sigma square x, is equal to 6 minus 8 whole square into 0.33. Similarly, the second term is 8 minus 8 square into 0.33. Third term is 10 minus 8 square into 0.33. So what we obtain is this is equal to 10 divided by 3 and is equal to 2.66. What is the mean of x bar distribution denoted as mu x bar? Now this is also called the expected value of x bar and is now equal to expected value of x bar is equal to summation x bar into p x bar of x bar, and this summation is over all the values, and this is equal to 6 into 0.11 plus 7 into 0.22 plus 8 into 0.33 plus 9 into 0.22 plus 10 into 0.11. On simplification, this comes out to be 8. Similarly, let us try to find out the variance of x bar. Now, variance of x bar distribution is denoted as variance x bar, which is equal to sigma x bar square and is defined to be equal to expected value of x square minus expected value of x bar whole square. Now this is equal to, on simplification, equal to x bar square into px bar of x bar minus mu x bar square. So how do we calculate it? This in our current example is equal to 6 square into 0.11 plus 7 square into 0.22 plus 8 square into 0.33 plus 9 square into 0.22 plus 10 square into 11 minus 8 square. Now this comes out to be, on simplification, equal to 65.33 minus 64 and is equal to 1.33. From the above computations, we find two important points of relationship. First, that sample mean is equal to population mean. What is sample mean? Mu x bar is equal to mu. The second is that the variance of the sample mean, which is sigma square with x bar subscript, is equal to half of population variance, meaning thereby equal to sigma square by 2. It is because the sample size n is equal to 2. Figure 1 below demonstrates the probability histogram of both the given population distribution and the x bar distribution. Since the mean of both the distributions is same, it implies that both are centered at the population mean value, which is 8. So we have the figure 1, which you can see, which it has probability histograms for the population and sample mean distribution. Suppose 3 levels of movie tickets, 1, 2 and 3, costing rupees 60, 70 and 80 respectively, are available in a cinema hall. If of the total visitor 20%, 40% and 40% buy level 1, 2 and 3 respectively, then the population distribution is given by the following. So we have this table where we have levels 1, 2, 3. We have the cost of ticket 60, 70, 80. The probability of X or these different levels is 0.2, 0.4 and 0.4. If on a particular Sunday 2 tickets are bought, let X1, X2 be the revenue earned from the sale of the first and second ticket. Assuming independence of X1 and X2, derive the probability distribution of the average revenue earned. Table 3 below lists all possible values of the samples and their means with respective probabilities, and table 4 gives the sampling distribution of the sample mean. Table 3 has sample values, sample means and probabilities. In the first column, we again have the sample number. In the second column, we have the sample values starting from 60, sample values which are on X1 and X2, and they include the first value as 60, then 60, 70, 60, 80, 70, 60, 70, 70, 70 and 8, and 80, 60, 80, 70, and 80, 80. In all, we have 9 observations. Then in the next column, we have the sample mean, X bar, and we get the sample mean equal to 60, 65, 70, 65, 70, 75. 70, 75, 80. Then we have the corresponding to each sample, and this is defined as probability of X1, X2 is equal to Px1 into Px2, which is equal to 0.2 into 0.2 is equal to 0.04 for first sample. Then for second sample, we have 0.2 into 0.4, which is 0.08, so on. So we have in each cell a value of the probability for each of the samples. To verify the relationship, compute the mean and variance of both the population and X bar distributions. Mean of the population distribution, which is expected value of X and is denoted to be equal to mu, is equal to 60 into 0.2 plus 70 into 0.4 plus 80 into 0.4 and is equal to 72. Similarly, variance of population distribution, variance of x, and is denoted as sigma square, is equal to 60 minus 72 whole square into 0.2 plus 70 minus 72 whole square into 0.4 plus 80 minus 72 whole square into 0.4. On simplification, this is equal to 144 into 0.2 plus 4 into 0.4 plus 64 into 0.4, and all of this is equal to 56. We have a table 4 of sampling distribution of the sample mean. So we have the sample mean x bar in the first column, where we have the values 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, which means the sample is of size 5. And in the second column, we have the corresponding probabilities px bar, which are 0.04, and then 0.08 plus 0.08 equal to 0.16 for the second sample mean 65. Similarly, for the next sample mean of 70, our probability comes out to be equal to 0.34. Similarly, 0.34 for 75 and 0.16 for sample mean 80. In the third and the final column, we have the expected value of x bar, which is equal to summation of x bar into probability of this x bar happening, and this comes out to be equal to 2.4 for the first sample mean of 60. Similarly, in the second row, we have 10.4, and we get then 22.4 next value, 24 is the next, and the last value for sample mean of x bar of 80 is equal to 12.8. How these have been calculated? The calculations can be seen here, that expected value is mu x bar is equal to 72, which is equal to expected value of x and is equal to mu, and we can see that in table 4 as mentioned earlier. Now, variance of x bar we have calculated as equal to sigma x bar square, and this is equal to 60 minus 72 whole square into 0.04, which means the probability of that corresponding sample mean 60 plus 65 minus 72 whole square into 0.16 plus 70 minus 72 whole square into 0.32 plus 75 minus 72 whole square into 0.32 plus 80 minus 72 whole square into 0.16. Now, if you simplify all this, you will get the sum total equal to 28. Therefore, variance of x bar could be written as sigma x bar square and is equal to variance of x divided by 2, which is equal to sigma square by 2, and is equal to 56 by 2 and is equal to 28. Now, this is because we know that it is equal to sigma square by n, and the sample size in this case is 2. So that is the reason we have used 2 in the denominator in these last calculations. This slide basically verifies a relationship between population and x bar distribution. So when the probability is 0.2, we have this value 60 and so on. You can see these different histogram values here, and we have named this figure as probability histograms for the population and sample mean distribution. So for population mean distribution, you have the probabilities 0.2, 0.4 and 0.4. For sample mean, we are getting the values which are different. For series 2, it is 0.04, 0.16 and so on. Now, instead of computing the mean of the sample values, we define a statistic as sum of the sample values, which means T0 is equal to x1 plus x2. Using example 2, we will obtain the sampling distribution of total revenue earned from the sale of 2 tickets and derive the sampling distribution of sample total in the following table, which we could refer to table 5 and also table 6. So in table 5, we have the sample values, sample totals and probabilities. In the first column, we have sample number from 1 to 9. In the second column, we have the sample values x1, x2, 60, 60 starting to 80, 80 in the last value for the ninth. Then we have the sample totals. T0 is denoted for this, and this sample total comes out to be 120 for the first sample value of 60, 60. Similarly, it is equal to 130, 140, 130, 140, 150, etc. For the last value, we have 160, which is the sum total of 80 plus 80. So how do we calculate the probabilities? These are given in the fourth column. The first probability value or the first cell value is equal to probability of x1, x2 equal to probability of x1 into probability of x2. So we can calculate this as 0.2 into 0.2 equal to 0.04 for the first sample observation, and similarly for the last observation 9 we have 0.4 into 0.4, which is equal to 0.16 as the corresponding value. Table 6, sampling distribution of the sample total. Now sample total T0 we know is 120, 130, 140, etc., which is reproduced here. But what are the probabilities? The probabilities we have calculated in the last column of the previous table 5. So these are the probabilities partially, and we are going to recalculate some of them. So for the sample total 120, our probability is 0.04. For sample total 130, our probability will be 0.08 plus 0.08 and is equal to 0.16. Similarly, for the sample value 140, our total is equal to 0.8 plus 0.16 plus 0.18 and is equal to 0.32. So on. Similarly, we can find out for other sample total values also. In the next column, we have the expected value of this T0, which is equal to T0 into probability of this T0 and could be again taken as T0 in the bracket. So these values are from 4.8, 20.8, 44.8, so on, and the value I'm sure you can all calculate how it has been done. I have shown it to you. The last column has the expected value of T0 square, now which we get equal to 576, 2704, etc. And again, it can be verified that it changes from sample total to sample total. But in the last row, you can see that the sum total of these probabilities is equal to 1 in the second column. And if you look at the third column, the total expected value T0 comes out to be 144. And in the last column and last row, which means you look at this cell, you will find that sum total of T0 square into PT0 comes out to be equal to 20,000 or 848, which is 24,848. To understand the relationship between population and sample total, which is T0 distributions, we will compute the mean and variance of both the distributions. So the expected value of T0 is equal to summation T0 into PT0. Now this comes out to be equal to 144 as has been given in the last row of our previous table, which was table 6. Now, continuing with this, the expected value of t0 is therefore equal to n into expected value of x, which is equal to n into mu and is equal to 2 into 72, hence is equal to 144. Variance of t0 is equal to sigma t0 square or sigma square t0 and is equal to summation t0 square into p of t0, which is a function of t0, minus mu square t0. On substitution of the values, this comes out to be equal to 20848 minus 144 square, and hence is equal to 20848 minus 20736, and is equal to, you can calculate it, you will get 112. Now this can also be calculated differently, where we can say variance of t0 is equal to n into variance of x, and hence is equal to n into sigma square, which is equal to 2 into 56. Again we get 112 or 112. We can list the following properties of the sampling distribution of x bar and t0, which are useful in drawing conclusions related to the population parameters and in further inferential statistics. Properties. If a random sample x1, x2, x3 up to xn is drawn from a population distribution with its mean mu and variance sigma square, then expected value of the population distribution is equal to the mean of the sampling distribution of the sample mean, suggesting that both the distributions are centered at the population mean. That is, expected value of x or Ex is equal to mu is equal to expected value of x bar, also denoted as E of x bar, equal to mu of x bar or mu x bar. Second, the relation between the variance of the population distribution Vx and the variance of sampling distribution of sample mean Vx bar can be written as variance of x bar is equal to sigma square of x bar is equal to variance of x by n is equal to sigma square by n. Now this signifies the variability of population distribution around its central value and is more than the variability of sampling distribution of sample mean. Also, as sample size increases, the variability of sample mean distribution decreases and it becomes more and more concentrated towards its central value. Figures 1 and 2 noticeably depicts that the population distribution is more dispersed than the x bar distribution. As a limiting case, if n tends to be infinity, variance of x bar tends to be equal to 0 and the distribution tends to be a vertical line corresponding to the mean value of the population distribution, that is mu. The third property is that the mean of the sampling distribution of the sample totals is n times more than the mean of the population distribution, which means that expected value of t0 is equal to n into expected value of x and is therefore equal to n mu. This points out that the sampling distribution of sample totals centers at a value which is sample size times more than the mean of the population distribution. In contrast to the sampling distribution of x bar, variance of sampling distribution of sample totals, which means variance of t0, is more than the variance of population distribution Vx. So variance of t0 is equal to n times the variance of x and is equal to n into sigma square. This tells us that as sample size increases, the sample total distribution becomes more and more dispersed. That is, it spreads over a wider range of values. The standard error of any estimator gives the extent or quantum of a typical or representative deviation between the estimator and the value of its parameter. The standard deviation SD of any estimator theta hat is defined as its standard error, that is SE, which in turn is the square root of its variance. That is, standard error of theta hat is same as standard deviation of theta hat is denoted as sigma theta hat and is equal to under root of variance of theta hat. The standard error of the mean is sigma x bar and is equal to under root of variance of x bar and is equal to under root of sigma square divided by n, which is equal to sigma by root n. It describes the typical deviation between the sample mean, that is the estimator, from its parameter, that is the population mean. Similarly, the standard error of the sample total is sigma t0 is equal to under root of variance of t0 is equal to under root of n sigma square is equal to sigma into under root n. Example: the mean and standard deviation of a population of workers were found to be 70 and 12.5 respectively. A sample of 25 workers was chosen. Find the expected value and the standard deviation of the average weight and the total weight of 25 workers. Answer: expected value of x bar, Ex bar, is equal to mu is equal to 70, which is our property 1, and standard deviation of average weight is equal to sigma x bar is equal to under root of variance of x bar is equal to sigma by root n is equal to 12.5 divided by under root of 25, which is equal to 12.5 upon 5 and hence is equal to 2.5. This is our property 2. Expected value of T0 is n mu and is equal to 25 into 70 is equal to 1750. This is our third property. And the standard deviation of total weight is equal to sigma T0 is equal to under root of variance of T0 and is equal to sigma into under root n. Now this is equal to 12.5 into under root of 25, hence is equal to 62.5. This is our property 4. So far as the form of the sampling distribution of any statistic is concerned, it depends on the distribution of the population, which could be normal, log normal, exponential, etc., from which the sample is drawn. Here we will consider two cases: sample drawn from a normal population distribution and sample drawn from a non-normal population distribution. Let a random sample x1, x2, x3 up to xn of size n is drawn from a normal population distribution with mean and variance specified as mu and sigma square. Then, regardless of the sample size, the distribution of sample mean will also be normally distributed with mean mu and variance sigma square by n. Also, the statistic sample total T0 will be normally distributed with mean n mu and variance n sigma square. It can be seen from the figure that for both the samples with n equal to 4 and 10, x bar distribution is normal, though it becomes more concentrated towards the central value of the population distribution as sample size increases. That is, variability of the x bar distribution decreases. So we have this figure 3 in which we have a normal population distribution and x bar distribution with n equal to 4 and 10. Now the question is, what happens if the population distribution is not known or is known to be non-normal? can we still assume that the sampling distribution of x bar or t0 is normally distributed? In such cases, we rely on one of the most widely used theorems of statistics called the central limit theorem or CLT. The theorem states that if a random sample x1 to xn of size n is drawn from a population with a specified mean mu and variance sigma square, then the sampling distribution of sample mean will approximate to normal distribution with population mean mu and variance sigma square by n when the sample size n is large. Similarly, for large n, the sampling distribution of sample total will approximate to normal distribution with mean n mu and variance n sigma square. Further, as the size of sample increases, the approximation would get better. The question now is how to define the size of sample to be called large. This in reality depends on the shape of the population distribution, whether it is close to normal or is moderately skewed or highly skewed. For normal approximation, in case of some distribution, n of 20 would suffice, and for some, even n of 40 would be inappropriate. So following a cautious approach as a rule of thumb, n greater than or equal to 30 is considered to be appropriate to apply CLT or central limit theorem. So we have in figure 4 an illustration of central limit theorem with non-normal population. And what we find is that as n becomes large, our x bar, distribution of x bar becomes relatively more and more normal rather than skewed. We understand that from the given population distribution, we can derive the probability or sampling distribution of any statistic. Further, if the sampling distribution of any statistic is known to be normal with a given mean and variance, then we can transform the distribution into the standard normal distribution. If x bar is distributed normally with mean mu and variance sigma square by n, and t0 is distributed normally with mean n mu and variance n sigma square, then it implies z would be equal to x bar minus mu upon sigma by root n, and the z for t0 would be equal to t0 minus n mu upon sigma into under root n, and they follow a standard normal distribution. Now we can use the standard normal table to compute the probability or area greater or less than a certain number or between the two numbers assigned to the sample mean or total, such as probability of x bar between greater than or equal to a or less than or equal to b, and probability of t0 greater than or equal to c but less than or equal to d. Let's take an example. The example is the life of a certain kind of a battery on average is normally distributed with mean 50 hours and standard deviation 5 hours. A sample of 16 batteries is randomly selected. Find the probability that batteries in the sample have average life x bar greater than 48 hours. Total life T0 lies between 780 and 840 hours. Let's look at the solution. The solution is based on the properties of sampling distributions of sample mean and total. We know that x bar is normally distributed with mean 50 and variance 25 by 16. Therefore, x bar we can say is normally distributed with mean 50 and variance 1.5625. So standard deviation of x bar is equal to 5 upon root 16 is equal to 1.25. And similarly, we can see that T0 is distributed normally with 16 into 50 as the mean and 25 into 16 as the variance. Now this gives us mean to be 800 and variance to be 400. And we find that standard deviation of T0 therefore is equal to 20. So probability of x bar greater than or equal to 48 is equal to probability z greater than equal to 48 minus 50 upon 1.25. Now this is equal to probability of z greater than or equal to minus 1.6 is equal to 1 minus probability z less than or equal to minus 1.6 and is equal to 1 minus 5 into or within bracket minus 1.6, and this comes out to be equal to 1 minus 0.0548 and is equal to 0.9452. Similarly, probability of T0 to be greater than or equal to 780 but less than or equal to 840 is equal to probability 780 minus 800 upon 20 less than or equal to T0, which is less than or equal to 840 minus 800 upon 20. On simplification, it means we have to find out probability that z is greater than or equal to minus 1 but is less than or equal to 2. Hence, we have to find out phi of 2 minus phi of minus 1, and phi means the total cumulative total cumulative probability, and this comes out to be 0.9772 minus 0.1587 and is equal to 0.8185. In order to draw inferences about the population parameters, we learned that the derivation of the sampling distribution of two important statistics, namely sample mean and sample total, along with their properties and relation with the corresponding population parameters. We have also learned that depending upon the form of the population distribution and size of the sample, we can see how the form of sampling distribution and its variability can be ascertained. Once we identify that the sampling distribution is normally distributed, we can transform the distribution into standard normal distribution and compute the probabilities with respect to both the sample mean and sample total. Thank you and wish you all the best.